I have a huge stack of books that I want to read by the end of the year, and we're going to go through all 20 of these that are on my TBR. Now, I do have to say this list will change. Like, I am 110% positive that by the end of the month, I will not be reading or have read all of these books, like by the end of December. But these are the ones that I have on my radar, and you guys know I usually read between 16 to 20 books a month. So I feel like getting 20 books just like in a stack to show you guys is always really fun, but I'm such a mood reader that I really just kind of like pick up and put down whatever is on the like front of my mind. You guys also know that I really try hard to find diverse reads and also try to find reads that are like really unique by small authors, maybe who only have like 400 reviews or 300 reviews or something like that, and I will continue to do that because I feel like that's very important. But let's just get in this video. If you guys are new, I have new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I hope you guys enjoy. So we're gonna start out by genre, and I wanna start through like the Christmas reads, but I wanna kind of do that quickly, only because I've already done like a Christmas video, and that showed the books on my Christmas TBR, so I feel like showing all of these books all over again is just gonna be overkill, and then whenever I do like my Bookmas video, I'm sure I'm gonna be talking about my Christmas reads there too. So I just kind of wanna breeze through them. I want to read A World Without You by Caitlin Moss. This is supposed to be like a Hallmarky type Christmas book, and I definitely want to get through this one. This one was actually on my TBR from last year. I do not want any of my Christmas reads to roll over until next year, because I did that this year and I found that I didn't feel like I could buy more Christmas books because I still had books from last year that I wanted to read. So yeah, I definitely want to read them this year so that way next year I can like start fresh and get new Christmas books. I also want to read The Plight Before Christmas. It's supposed to be like just really funny. It's supposed to be a book that like makes you actually laugh out loud, which I feel like I need. And this is the type of book that I feel like I really lean towards during the Christmas season. That or either like rom-com-y, like cutesy Hallmark vibes. I also want to read I'll Be Gone for Christmas. This is a sapphic romance by a Black author. One of the relationships I know is a sapphic romance. I'm not really sure about the other one, but I know that this is about two people who I think they house swap, and then I think they end up falling in love with like the people who are at each other's other homes or towns or something like that. Very unique concept, so I'm really excited to read that one. And then I also want to read The Mistletoe Motive. I've never read anything by Chloe Leese, but I feel like the perfect time to pick up a book by an author is around the Christmas season. I do think that it doesn't give like a true representation of what their like style of writing is, but I think it does give a representation of like their spice level of what they normally like to write, or like how much dialogue they have in books. And I've never read anything from her, so if I do like her writing, I definitely want to pick up her books. I think she has a Bergman Brothers, or a series called the Bergman Brothers, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it. So if I like this one, I can definitely see myself picking up that series. I also want to read Feast by Tanzania Glover, and this is a Christmassy, spicy read, but it also has like really deeper themes within it. So it'll be interesting to see if I like this one or not. And I don't know, I just feel like in the Christmas season, I normally lean towards like fluffy, happy reads. So having something that has like deeper themes in it is gonna definitely be a change. I think her book, I was gonna say I think her book is on the shelf, but it's actually not because I already finished it and put it on my other shelf, I think. Oh no, it is right here. Waiting on Wendy. I actually read this book and loved it so much. So that's what made me pick up this Christmassy read. And this is a very short read. I feel like this one would be a great one for Kindle because it's only 157 pages, but the words are massive. Like it's giving like elementary school. So I feel like on Kindle, this will probably be like half the size of the text. And then I also want to read The Christmas Tree Farm. This is one that I feel like is definitely going to get me in the Christmas spirit. I have not read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe or The Cinnamon Bone Bookshop. This will be the first book that I've read by this author. I've heard that these are spicy books, but I have heard that this is one of her best books, so I'm really excited for this one. And I also want to read this book, Second Chance Christmas by Jacquel J. This is the author who wrote a book that's actually in the stack that I want to read, but whether I read the other book by this author kind of depends on whether I like this book or not. Because again, I feel like trying new authors for Christmas is great because you get like a taste of their writing. So if I really enjoy it, I feel like I will definitely want to lean into the other book that I have on my TBR. But this one is a second chance romance. After 15 years, the main character goes back to her hometown. I think she's divorced and like kind of starting over again. She goes back to her hometown and she ends up seeing her ex there, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, but we will see. And then I also want to read I'll Get Back to You. This is a Christmas read, obviously, because that's all I'm sharing at this current second. But it's set in Illinois, and the person lives in Geneva, Illinois, which is so funny because it's not even that far from me. So yeah, I definitely want to read this one. And this is my favorite type of book to read, like the floppy ones that are like this, where I can just like bend it and do whatever I want with it and it's going to be in perfect condition still. That is my favorite type of book, if you ever wanted to know. Then I also have 2 thrillers on my list to read, and I haven't really been in a big thriller mood lately, and I think I share this in my wrap up. I just have not found a thriller that's made me excited about reading thrillers again. I feel like when I find the one, I'll be like hooked again, but I just have not found it. And every month I've been reading like 2, 3, sometimes 4 thrillers, but no more than like that amount. And I think it's genuinely because I'm just reading thrillers that are just like subpar. But you guys did recommend some good thrillers in my wrap up, so I think I'm going to start reading some of those hopefully soon. I picked up The Favorite Girl by Monica Araya, and this was actually in my Amazon book haul. This is a book, it kind of reminds me of The Housemaid, but it's definitely different. It's about a girl who is like a maid, and she goes to like clean up this person's house, and she ends up finding out that they like picked her, like hand-picked her as someone that they like want to be at her house, and I think they like keep her captive or something. I haven't read it obviously, but that's kind of the vibe that's giving from the back of the book. It says the Ivories have picked a favorite girl and it might just be her. So that looks really good. I also want to read Don't Let Her Stay. I have so many thrillers on my TBR, but I feel like there's certain ones that I am just like, every time the month comes, I like look at it and I'm like, ooh, that's the one I want to read. And that's happened with this book twice. Like both times I'm like, ooh, I want to read that. And then like, I don't know, I just haven't read it. So I'm hoping that I can actually get to this one. It says someone inside your house wants you dead, but no one believes you. I think it's about a woman who has a stepdaughter who she thinks wants her dead, but her husband like won't believe her or something. And honestly, that like freaks me out and sounds very believable. I like thrillers that like are set in reality, you know, like things that could actually happen. I'm not really someone who really likes to read like supernatural things, because not that I don't believe that can happen, but I need to know that if I'm reading a thriller, like if I'm putting myself in the place of that person, like I can fight back. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to be like, what can I do in the situation if I were that person? And if it's a supernatural thing, literally all I'm doing is getting down on my knees and praying. Like I'm not doing anything else. So that kind of stuff just like spooks me out so bad. So I'm also like a big scaredy cat. For some reason, reading about like kidnappings and stuff like that doesn't spook me. And maybe it's because I just feel like that's so like, is that gonna happen in small town Illinois? Like, I don't know. Like, could someone kidnap me? Sure. But like, if they kidnap me and take me to a gas station, someone's gonna know who I am. If they take me to the grocery store, someone's gonna know who I am. Like, it just, I don't know, it doesn't scare me as much. I also don't listen to like true crime podcasts or anything like that. So I always tell people I'm like super oblivious to just like how bad the world can be, because I also curate my social media so that I'm only consuming like positive content, which again keeps me in a very positive headspace. So this is one I definitely want to read. I also have one contemporary fiction on the list, only one, because I feel like if I have anything else, it's just gonna be like, I don't know, I'm just not gonna be happy with my TBR, because right now I'm not really in the mood for reading a ton of contemporary fiction. So I definitely want to read this, but I just don't think that having a ton on my TBR is gonna be something that I will actually get to, because again, my TBR changes so much. Like it really is just, I'm a true mood reader. Like 1 minute I will be reading a thriller, and in the middle of that thriller I'll be like, I want to read a romance. Like that's just how I am. So I like to read multiple books at a time, and I also like to read just lots of different types of genres. I feel like that like gets me excited about reading. This book I'm pretty sure is about a girl who is like struggling mentally, and I think she goes to a wedding, and like when she's at that wedding, she like changes her perspective. I don't really know a ton about it, and I kind of want to go into it blind. Like I really like going into books blind. I feel like I always end up just so much happier after I go into a book blind because I don't know what's coming, and I've heard that it's good, but I don't really know why it's good. And I love that. So we're gonna keep that book kind of a little bit blind. I also have 2 historical fictions, and these are both by Black authors. This one is The American Queen. This was actually in the Christian section, which was super surprising to me because her other books, Vanessa Miller, this author, her other 2 books were in the contemporary fiction section. So I'll be interested to see why this one is in that section. But I was told that if I like Yellow Wife by C.D. Johnson, that I would really love this book. Never read anything by this author, and I honestly don't even really know what it's about. It says in 1869, a kingdom rose in the South and Luella was its queen. I don't know if it's like based on true events or what. Like I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. I feel like I read the back when I first got it, but I just don't really remember what it was about. And again, I like to go into things semi-blind. Let me know what you guys are reading, because I honestly am always down to change my TBR. And I feel like if I get enough people being like, oh my God, you have to read this book. It's so good. It's so good. Like I loved it. Like I'm always writing it down. I'm always adding to my list of like things I want to read. And I'm always like hopping from one thing to the next. So definitely let me know what you guys are reading. I also want to read The Reformatory, and this is a story that is supposed to be like a true horror about the Jim Crow South. And this was actually in the horror section, which is interesting. I got this book, and whenever I got it, I was like looking all over Barnes & Noble and could not find it anywhere. And I didn't even think to look in horror because I just have never seen a book that was like placed in that category. But it honestly makes sense, because when we read stories of people who've like been through like terrible things in history, usually we're looking in contemporary fiction, you know what I mean? But really, this is like, that's where it belongs. It belongs in horror. So it'll be interesting to see like why specifically this book was placed in horror in comparison to like Yellow Wife or like The Personal Librarian, or just like other books that have things that like aren't the best, but they're not like example, The Personal Librarian, like that was one that was, I feel like, fitting for contemporary fiction. But Yellow Wife, like some of the things in that, I definitely feel like could have been in the horror section. So it'll be interesting to see how this is portrayed. I do think that it's supposed to be pretty graphic. So I am just definitely going to be going into this one with like, I don't know, just some armor on. Like I'm gonna be going in with caution, I'll say that. And then I also have tons of romances, and not me dropping books. Oh my gosh, not me dropping books. I have tons of romances. All of them are different types of romances. I have lots and lots of fluffy reads, so we'll start with those first. The first one that I'm going to read is Elevator Pitch. Now, I will say this TBR will change. That's all I'm going to say. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it again. This TBR will change. I'm actually going to out of the country in December for almost a week. Brady, he's such an incredible boss to his employees, and he's taking some of his employees to Mexico and their spouses as well. So of course I'm going, because like that's my husband, and like, I mean, duh. And the ones, like the employees that didn't end up wanting to go, he's like having them choose like wherever they want to go, and he's like buying like a flight for them to go there and like their like, you know, stay and stuff. So like one of his employees wanted to go to New York City because he has family in New York. So he's like, I want to see them instead of going to Mexico. And I think another couple, they like wanted to go somewhere else. So like, I think there's going to be 3 people from his team, and then 3, like each of them has a spouse. So I think that that's going to be like who's going to be in Mexico. But we're going to be going, and we're going to be going for almost a full week. And I think each of them is going for 5 or 6 days or something like that. But they're like staggering. Honestly, this is too much. But either way, they're going to be going 5 or 6 days, but they're kind of like staggering their stays so that the office can like still stay open and like run. But we're going to be going the full amount. So with that, when I go to the beach, I want to read different types of books. Like, I don't know what it is, but every time I go to the beach, I just devour books. But I have a different mood every time I go to the beach. So sometimes I'll go to the beach and be like, ooh, I'm in the romance mood. Other times I'll go and be like, oh my God, I need a thriller. So it'll be interesting to see what I want to read, because one, I don't have my Kindle. So I'm very nervous for going on this trip, because it's the first trip I've went on without my Kindle, and I have to really just like pick one TBR, and I can't switch because I don't have my Kindle. So yeah, I don't know. It'll depend on what mood I'm in, but if I'm in like a romancy mood, then of course I will bring these reads. I want to read Elevator Pitch because I've heard incredible things about this story. This was just released and it's so many people's favorite story. It's about a girl who she has like this list of things that she wants to do. Like literally the front of the book, it says she has like an effort list. Oh my gosh, guys, I bought this book and I did not see that it was signed by the author. Oh my gosh, it says Evelyn Leigh, Shaughnessy, from following you as a reader to you supporting me as an author. It's been surreal. Thanks for uplifting Black voices on your platform. Guys, I didn't even see this in here. I literally just bought this. Like I bought it, but I bought it from her website because I was trying to buy it on Amazon, and at the time I don't think she had it up on Amazon. So then I went to her website and I was like, I was having a hard time figuring out like where to buy it and whatever. So I was like, I'll just buy it from her website because I know for sure that it's like gonna come through from there. Bought it, didn't even think about like, cause whenever I'm like buying books by small authors, especially, like I'm buying the book. Like I don't care. Like, and I very rarely accept ARCs from people. I feel like I've shared that before because I just like never want to be that person who has like I'm giving a terrible review or like a harsh review or anything like that, especially if there's like 2 reviews on the book. And I don't really like to give harsh reviews or like bad reviews anyway. So I just feel like if I'm going to take an ARC, I need to take it from an author that I'm like already obsessed with. I already know and love. Like I got This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan this year. Love her as an author. I've read like 8 of her books. So like obviously I know I love her writing. I just don't really take books from authors that are like new to me. Just because if I don't like the book, I want to be able to share my thoughts, but share it in a way that is like, I wouldn't say constructive because that's not the right word, but I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Let's say that. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And I think that if someone has like, let's say 50,000 reviews on a book or 10,000 reviews on a book and you get one bad review or one review that's like 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star, whatever, it's different than if you have like 10 reviews on a book and you get like a 3-star, 2-star, or 1 star. You know what I mean? So I always have been and always will be honest, but I just really don't take ARCs and I always buy the book. And so even if I do get an ARC, I still go out and buy the book because I want to support the author. Anyway, I bought this book and genuinely, I did not even know that she wrote that in there. That is so wild. I'm gonna have to like message her and say like, thank you, that's so, so sweet. But I bought this because I've heard that it's so many people's favorite book of the year, like of the year. So she has this list of things that she wants to do, I think by her birthday. And there's like I think it's called like an effort list or something like that. And she wants to do all these like wild things. So I'm like, oh, I'm down for that. I love a book with like a list that someone needs to do or a list that gets stolen. They have to like get back before someone like outs them. Like I love books like that. Also in this book, it says that there is a dictionary, like D-I-C-K-tionary, and it has asterisks next to every chapter where there are scenes that if you want to either skip straight to the spice or you want to skip away from the spice, and it has every chapter. And it says chapters with an asterisk are partial scenes. And then chapters that have like a like little dot like next to them, it shows like the full chapter has like something in it. So that is good to know, especially if you're someone who doesn't really want to read spice. I also want to read The Fastest Way to Fall. I recently did, or was gonna do, I can't remember if I did it or not. I can't remember if I did it or not. I literally can't even remember. It was a TikTok idea that I had. But anyway, I read Technically Yours by Denise Williams, and I also read, what was the other one I read? How to Fail at Flirting by this author. Loved How to Fail at Flirting. 4-star read, super fun. I got through it super fast. It was just like really engaging. The Technically Yours was a little spicy for me. That was her newest read, but I went and checked and I saw that this book actually has the highest rating out of all of her books. So I went to read this one. This says Britta didn't plan on falling for her personal trainer and Wes didn't plan on Britta. Plans change and it's unclear if love, career, or both will meet them at the finish line. And I've noticed that both of her books talk about careers, like the women are very career focused. So I really like that, especially when you're talking about Black women in the workplace. Like we have such a different experience. Like when people say that Black women have to work 10 times harder to get like the bare minimum, that is so true. And I feel like reading about that in books feels very much like, I feel very seen while reading that, and I feel a little less alone. So I just love like reading about women in the workplace, and I feel like her books not only focus on women in the workplace, but they also really connect the workplace and romance, which I enjoy. So I want to read this book. And then I also want to read Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Never read anything by this author, but so many people have talked about this book. I cannot wait to read it. I know Amber Burns, she's a YouTuber or a booktuber that I love to watch. She recently read, well, I wouldn't say recently, because I've been like going backlogging and like watching all her videos. And I think it was honestly one of her summer videos that I recently watched, because I've become obsessed with her channel. I've just been like watching all of her videos. And she read this book and she loved how they interweaved like the instruments and music and love, and just like the author did it really well. She also said that it was written really beautifully, and I feel like we have similar taste in some books, so I wanted to pick this up specifically because she loved it. On the back it says it's sizzling and it's swoony. Two rival musicians fight their attraction as they compete for center stage. Again, looks really, really good. Feel like it's gonna be perfect for the season. I also want to read Our Secret Game by Janisha Boswell. Our Secret Moments by this author, I think, was one of my top romance reads, like cutesy fun reads of the year. It was such a surprise because I think that like book only has like 1,200 reviews or something, and I didn't really expect going into it to be as obsessed with it as I was, and I did not want to put it down. It's one of those books that reminds me a lot of like the book talk, like books that people like Icebreaker, you know what I mean? Like the cutesy, they're funny, they're spicy, but not overly spicy. Well, Icebreaker was a little overly spicy, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like it was very, very good. And I was very surprised because it was as good as it was, and it didn't have as much hype as I think it deserves. So I bought the second book. Want to read this one ASAP. This one is about the sister, like Connor, who is in Our Secret Moments. It's his sister and his best friend. They like have feelings for each other. And the whole time I was like reading book one, I was like, I cannot wait for their book. And I think his name is Wes and her name is Nora, I'm pretty sure. I feel like this is definitely one I'm bringing to the beach. I don't care. Like I need to read this book ASAP. And then I also want to read Rhythms Blues by Kimberly Brown. This is the one that you guys said that I should start with. I also have Tethered Love on my shelf, and I think it's called like Hold Me When I'm Down or something like that. And I've never read anything by Kimberly Brown, and you guys said that this was a good start for her writing. I've been really trying to pick up books by new authors. I've always done that, but I feel like sometimes I get scared because my expectations are so high. But whenever I know that you guys say a book is good, I'm all in. So I'm really excited to read this one. I also want to read Somebody's Forever, which is the second book. It came after Somebody's Wife by Robbie Renee, which again was an incredible read for me. It's one I recommend so much. If you like spicy books, please pick up that book. Honestly, if you just like books that have spice but also a good plot, pick up that book. It's about a woman who is in a like pretty much a loveless marriage, and she meets this guy who he really just like, he catches her attention. I'll say that. 4-star read for me. It was so fun. It's very short. It's less than 300 pages, so you'll finish it super, super fast. And this is the second book to that one, and this one is only 123 pages. Cannot wait to read this one. I, again, love Robbie Renee's writing. It's very easy to read, very fast paced. And then I also want to read Capone by Jaquel J, but this is the author who wrote the Second Chance Christmas. So it really depends on if I like Second Chance Christmas and how much I like it, because if I really like it, I'll read this month. If I'm like so-so on it, I'll read it like next month, or another month, or whenever I just like am in the mood to read it, because I have a hard time reading books back to back to back by authors. And I think it's because there's so many books out there. Whenever I read one book by an author, I almost assume that the next book by them is gonna be a similar cadence, and it feels like it's the same book, just different font, you know what I mean? So whenever I'm reading a book back to back by an author, that's when you know I'm like absolutely obsessed with it, which is like, it doesn't happen very often where I'll like read a book by by the same author back to back. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have so many books on my TBR, but again, I will bet my life, I'm not betting my life on anything. I will be 100% honest. I know that this TBR will change because by the end of December, I could want to read more contemporary fiction. Reading 6 Christmas books could put me in the mood for like something dark and emotional and deep. But again, I kind of get down bad in the winter sometimes because I get seasonal sadness really bad. I will say last year I did a really good job at like keeping that at bay because I like went outside every single day. So if I keep up with that, maybe I'll be more inclined to like read emotional reads. But if I'm not and like need like happy little things, I might try to incorporate more fluffy cutesy romances. It really depends on my mood. But either way, we're gonna be reading. Every month we read, like, for the most part, 16 books. So I know we're gonna be reading in December. Let me know what you're reading. I would love to hear it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.